In this tutorial, we're going to cover how to add titles to our projects inside Premiere Pro. I've already set up the clips that I wanted in my timeline. It's a fairly simple project, just 3 clips, one right after the other on the video 1 track. To add a caption or a title, or even just text, I'm going to show you a couple of things. We're going to add a title to this entire project, so that will go here in the front, and then we'll do some kind of scrolling text maybe here in the middle over the kayaking clip, and then maybe we'll do at the end, we'll do a credits roll to finish off the project. So the first step is to create a title. A couple ways to do that. There's a title option off the main menu up here at the top. You can choose title, new title, and then choose the style of title that you want. And these are fairly self-explanatory. The still, of course, is that. The roll and the crawl. The roll is the up and down. The crawl would be from side to side. So we'll start with our default still, since this is going to be a title that we're going to put at the beginning of our project. It's going to default to the settings of the project itself. We'll click OK. And this opens up the title panel. Title panel is kind of a busy panel, but it's fairly straightforward. On the left-hand side, you have various tools, and on the in the center is your preview with some tools at the top and the bottom. And on the right side is a panel where it gives you a lot more control over the text that you're adding or the different shapes that you might be including in your title. We're going to keep this a fairly simplistic title. We'll go more in depth with this titler in another tutorial. So I'm going to grab my title tool. It defaults to it being selected, the big T on the left hand side towards the top. And I'm going to click and drag and create a title area here. Now if I didn't click and drag, it would not have created a title area, so as I type, we'll just continue on to the right. And we're going to call this something very, very creative, like my first project. And I'm going to click off of there, go back to my title tool. Actually, I'm going to click on my selection tool, which is the top white arrow in the toolbar on the far left. And then I'm just going to click on it again to select it when I have the handles. I'm going to make this title area smaller. And I'm going to extend it to this first rectangle here, the inset rectangle. These are actually what we call title safe and action safe areas, and you can turn those off and on via this drop down menu. It's the panel menu for the titler. These horizontal lines with a small down arrow at the top right of this preview area is the panel menu, and we can turn these off and on. I tend to have those on because I like to keep things inside those safe areas. I also want to center this. So on the justification where I want to center it is above the preview area. We see the left, right, and center. We'll click on that to center it. If I wanted to, I don't know, use a different font, I could click on this drop down and choose something else. Notice these are all what I call scrubbable values, where I can just click and drag to the right or left to preview how those will look. I tend to really like that visual aspect of that. And we could set the color of our text as well. I'm going to leave it as a white. That works well with this particular one. I'm also going to move this down a bit. Right now this title is showing up over the initial clip. The reason I see that clip is it's showing me the frame where my CTI is sitting in the timeline. If I wanted to temporarily turn that off, I could click on this icon at the top right above the preview area. It has a little eyeball on the video to turn the video off and on. If I wanted to see how this looks somewhere else in the clip, I could click on this time code right below that eye icon and scrub to the right or left. Okay, and then to save this, I simply close it, and you'll see over on the the left hand side in our project panel the name of the title. I'm going to double click on that and change this to, we'll call it first project, so I know what that title contains. Now to add this to my actual project down in the timeline, I'm going to click and drag it. I'm going to place it in video 2. I'll show you a couple ways to do this. Video 2 will overlay it over the video 1 layer. And as you can see in our program monitor, which is where we see a preview of the project, the title shows up over the clip. And right now it's covering almost the entire clip. I'm going to make this a little bit shorter as such. Now if I scrub along here, it shows up and then it goes away. Let's do another title where we want something to scroll across. When we get to this middle clip, so we want to do kayaking on some river, and we're going to scroll those words across the bottom. To do what we call a crawling title, we can go to another way to start a new title. The last time we did it from the main menu, we can also go down here to our new item icon, click on that and choose title, and we'll call this kayaking. Now I want this to be a crawling title. To change the style of the title, there's a roll crawl option here right below the name of the title up at the top of the titler. I'm going to click on that, and it gives me the options to set a different type of title. And we're going to do a crawl left. We do want to start off the screen and end off the screen, so I'm going to turn both of those on and click OK. Now I'm going to grab my title or my type tool, and we'll type something in like kayaking on Colorado River. I'm going to go back to my selection tool so I can move that around. I'm going to place it here towards the bottom of the clip, right above the safe area line there. Now, it doesn't really matter where I place it as far as left or right, because it's going to crawl across the screen anyway, so we'll just leave that as is. Close that. And over in our project panel, we see that title. Notice the icon a little bit different. On a crawling title or a rolling title, you have a video icon versus a static icon. Now I want this to show up for the second clip, so I'm going to actually extend this for the duration of that. Now if we want to see how this works, I'll just scrub across here for now. As you go across here, those words come on and go off the screen. All right. The last one we're going to do is a rolling title. So another way to do a title is Control-T is a keyboard shortcut, and we'll call this credits. Now I'm going to define a text area this time, so in the titler window I'll grab my text tool and click and drag to create a text area. And I know my font's way too big, so we're going to bring it down to, we'll do maybe around 50 and see how that is. So we'll say, whoops, my titler, produced by Jane Eggers. And I'm going to set that to be a roll, which I didn't do earlier. We're going to do start off and end off screen. And I'm going to center these. And we could continue adding text, but just to save some time, I think you'll get the idea of how this works. Close my title. And the credits I want to show up after the entire project. So I'm going to click on that from the project panel and place it down here at the end of my timeline. And then play across here.